Welcome back to Morning Joy, where truth matters. My name is Keith Downey, host of Morning Joy, and I'm thrilled to have a special guest with us today, Father Justin Bolger, one of the talented friars from the Hillbilly Thomists. Now, if you haven't heard of them yet, you're in for a treat. The Hillbilly Thomists are a unique blend of Bluegrass and Dominican spirituality. My goodness, Father Justin, welcome to the show.
Thanks a lot, Keith. Great to be here.
Thanks for joining us. And Father Justin, just for those that might not be too familiar with the group there, Hillbilly Thomists, how did this fusion of bluegrass and Thomistic theology come about?
Good question. So most of the members of the Hillbilly Thomists went through our seminary, the Dominican House of Studies, around the same time. And we all enjoyed playing music together. We played Irish music, country, bluegrass, folk, and we would just do that for fun. So we'd do it maybe after like an ordination, for an ordination party, or after a solemn profession, something like that. We recorded a number of Schola albums. We have a choir. We did chant, polyphony, hymnody. So we did 4 of those albums, especially as fundraisers, but also to offer something beautiful out of our tradition. And then we said, wow, we've done a number of those. Why don't we just record this music that we're playing for fun on the side? And so we did that. And here we are 4 albums later, and people seem to still be enjoying it.
Wow. Did you ever think, like, as you were going through seminary, that you would also not only become a priest, but also a part of an incredible band?
No, not really. My story is a little bit interesting. And, the members of the band have different experiences in music. Some of us were in bands or did a lot of music before entering the order. And so I did play a lot of music. I wasn't thinking that I would find that in the order. But you give things up to God, and he kind of retools them and gives them back to you in certain ways.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's kind of been the whole topic of today's show, is just following God's will. That's really kind of a way to be a true disciple of God, is not going against his grain, but following his will, which is clearly you've done, and it's opened so many doors for you, and also to help evangelize. And speaking of evangelization, how do you see your music as a form of evangelization?
So our music, like I mentioned before, it's something that comes out of our shared fraternity. Mm-hmm. So it is an expression, and you mentioned before, it's this mix of kind of Dominican spirituality and bluegrass, or Thomism and American folk music. So it's out of our fraternity, the love for music. So in one sense, I think it's evangelization, because it's kind of just the flowering of brothers enjoying time with each other, sharing time, playing music, enjoying one another's company. And at the same time, the music is kind of infused with the gospel, as a lot of old time folk and bluegrass is. So it's it's a way to kind of just share gospel themes in this folky way, in this down to earth way. And we have noticed that a lot of, I think, probably like contemporary Christian music. There's a lot of that out there. But there's not actually a lot of music like this, that's sort of scrappy, folky, kind of fun, but also exploring gospel themes in kind of like a storytelling way. So a lot of folks reach out to us, even Protestants, and said that they're really enjoying the music. We get a lot of Protestant pastors come to our shows, invite us to come to their churches. It's pretty interesting. And then a lot of families enjoy our music, so parents like it, and parents like it maybe because of some of the storytelling and some of the deeper themes about life and suffering, and then the kids like it because it's kind of goofy, and there's a lot of weird eccentric banjo and mandolin going on.
I absolutely love the song titled "Bluegrass, Bourbon, and the Bible." That's fantastic.
That's right. Yeah, what more do you need?
Yeah, exactly, right? So quick question, because the name Hillbilly Thomists, obviously Thomism, for those that may be unfamiliar with what that is, could you maybe explain what Thomism is?
Oh, yeah, sure. So Thomism is just the study of the thought of St. Thomas Aquinas. St. Thomas Aquinas was a 13th century Dominican. Still regarded as one of the most brilliant, profound minds of Western civilization, philosopher, theologian, and he worked in the Dominican order at the University of Paris, in Rome, in Naples, Orvieto. Wrote in many different genres, but especially known for his systematic theological work, like the Summa Theologica, Summa Contra Gentiles, which are still studied today. Actually, we just played at a conference. We're in an Aquinas Jubilee year. So we celebrate 800 years of his birth, 750 of his death, and 700th of his canonization. So there are a lot of different celebrations for this. Actually, his skull is traveling around. It's flying around the U.S. right now. So catch it if you can. It's a very smart skull. And Notre Dame had an Aquinas at 800 conference. And there were like 150 papers given, close to 600 participants. It was huge. And we were able to play at that. So, so Aquinas is this amazing Dominican theologian, but he's also a saint. He is someone who really loved the Lord. He had mystical experiences with Jesus. I was also fortunate to lead a pilgrimage this past summer with students from Providence College to Italy for an Aquinas-themed pilgrimage. So we went to important sites. Wow. But we went to Naples, where he had this experience with the Lord on the cross. And Jesus says, Thomas, you have written well of me. What would you have me give you? And he said, non nisi te Domine, nothing but you, Lord. That's what he wanted, And St. Thomas Aquinas, I'll end with this, is also a patron saint for chastity. So he had this experience. He wanted to join the Dominicans, which were kind of an upstart order at the time. He was on track probably to be the abbot of Monte Cassino as a Benedictine. So he would have been a really powerful guy in his own age. His family didn't want him to join the Dominicans, so they kidnapped him. His brothers kidnapped him, put him in a tower, one of their castles, and brought in a woman of the night, to try to seduce him. Chased her out with a flaming log, traced a cross in the door, and then had this angelic experience of chastity. And was never tempted to unchastity after that point. And soon after he passed away, they started something called the Angelic Warfare Confraternity. And it's a confraternity in the church to grow in chastity. It's kind of blowing up right now. As there are threats to chastity, there are also graces and opportunities. So that's a little bit about Aquinas and why it's still relevant today.
No, I know about idea that confraternity is still around. That's amazing. Kind of going back to your music there, do you have any memorable moments from any of your performances that stand out?
Yeah, there are. Let's see. There are kind of sublime and then silly ones. Maybe a sublime one being we got to play at the Grand Ole Opry. Wow. So that's a stage that many country and most of the country greats have graced, and we were invited to play there to warm up for actually a pretty popular country musician, Craig Morgan, who has like Redneck Yacht Club and International Harvester, but he's also a Catholic, as part of the Knights of Columbus conference. So they had a couple years ago annual conference in Nashville. So he was the main act, and we got to warm up for him. So we were able to play a 30-minute set there on that stage. That was incredible. Something silly. There's a photo from our recent album that we posted on Instagram of one of our brothers eating Utz chips while we were recording. And we keep tagging Utz when we post something on Instagram. We're like, Utz, come on, give us some chips. And so now when we play shows, sometimes people throw Utz chips up at it. So.
Have they responded at all to any of your tags on Instagram?
Yeah. Eventually they sent us an email. They're like, thank you very much for reaching out to us. If you would like to be sponsored, please email us at this email address. It kind of saying like, this has got to stop, The Hillbilly Thomists and Utz might not be the combination America's looking for.
It's a very pleasant cease and desist letter that they say.
That's right. That's right.
If someone is listening to the Hillbilly Thomists for the very first time, what would be the one track you would want them to listen to?
Good question. Well, our most popular track is Poor Wayfaring Stranger. That's, again, an old American folk song, and it sort of encapsulates, I think, this great American folk gospel tradition, because it's a beautiful song, beautiful melody, but it's also about our life as pilgrims. So this is an ancient theme, metaphor, narrative by which to view our life, kind of how the Israelites were freed from slavery, were pilgrims in the desert, and reached the promised land. Theologians like Augustine and Aquinas picked this up, and then it's really picked up in American gospel music. So this idea that we are all pilgrims, we're wayfaring in this life, and we hope for the promised land, to cross over Jordan to the promised land. And so that's just a great theme, shows up in a lot of our music, and is in that song pretty beautifully. There's also Bourbon, Bluegrass in the Bible, like you mentioned. That's a fun one.
Like I said, we here at Morning Joy love that title. It's incredible. Wow, Father Justin, thank you so much for joining us. Now, if you're out there listening and you're like, wow, I gotta check them out, you gotta go to their website, which is hillbillythomists.com. There you'll find all of their information, all the links to their social media, including their most recent album, Marigold. So make sure to check them out. Father Justin Bolger, thank you so much for joining us this morning.
Thanks a lot, Keith. Appreciate it.